this doctor, typical country doctor, went to see someone in Ireland, and took their temperature and then put the thermometer under their arm and, just to check how they were, and they were chatting away, and then everything seemed to be fine. So the next day he comes back and says, "So how are you doing?" "Oh," he says, "I'm doing so much better after you put this thing under my arm, feels so much better to say."
And it's still there. No, I think the the concern that I have is that the placebo effect has been shown to work time and time again, and yet still we insist on taking the drugs, the real drugs, not the placebos. That is, if you like, it's almost the opposite way around. That is, in a sense,
but
the scandal.
Here is the philosophical dilemma on that one. If there weren't real drugs, could a placebo work?
Yeah, but the point is, Martin, why does the placebo work? Because it's all in the mind. It's the mental application. So why do you need drugs in the first place?
If you
the placebo actually tells us what is actually going on.
It's what you're saying is that actually, whether the real drugs or the placebo, it's simply an agent, a ruse, a technique in order to get the mind to focus on its own healing or the healing potential of the body.
Well, it's like, in a sense, it's like me saying to you, you're, I don't know, let's say you've got a headache, right? This glass of water contains something, you're not going to have a headache anymore. I mean, in a sense, it's just water, right? But it doesn't matter what it is. And me saying something to you can have the same effect. That's a material thing, so it could be done in a mental way. If I say X to you, your headache will go, a bit like hypnosis, right? And that's been shown to work. Hypnosis works. And I'm sure there are other ways as well.
See, all these sort of things fascinate me, because I kind of believe that if you're going to have a science at all, that science has to be big enough to encompass everything that we have experience of.
Well, that's
real.
My point, but it needs to encompass both the invisible and the visible.
Well, that's right. It has to be big enough to encompass the invisible. And my gripe, if you like, with so-called modern science is that it seems a bit closed off to what, and it's always getting caught out. It always keeps getting caught out by things which it actually should have said, well, look, we understand, the mind can actually do this, that, and the other. Why don't we actually think about that for a while?
Yeah, exactly.
And explore that one and have a philosophy of science that allows for the fact that the mind is able to do that, rather than a process which says, well, if we can't see any chemical activity taking place, nothing can be taking place. That's where we make the mistake. It's only in the seen world of the chemical or the physical, and therefore that's the only reality.
Yes.
And actually, surely what we're actually beginning to learn from the more we delve into our chemistry and physics is that there is so much going on beyond those realms. And very active worlds of information fields, of energy fields, of quantum, of all sorts of things that are going on behind the scenes.
Yes. And that's the point, you see, because science can never be holistic in that sense. If science does discounts, I mean, I know we're talking in a sort of medical context, and that's slightly limiting, and I'm trying to broaden it out, it's not easy. But if science discounts, let's say, energy fields as a potential, contribution to what is going on, both individually and collectively, because it's not part of the equation, then they're not looking at the whole picture. This is what I'm saying.
They're going to keep getting caught out, and actually they're stagnating human development.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stagnating our evolution of understanding and knowledge, and trying to fob us off in the meantime with the frippery of some little technological gizmos, and hoping that we're going to be satisfied with these little, plasma screens and Xboxes and Wii's and things, gimmicks that we can play with, while actually cutting us off from the potential that our internal consciousness has in understanding reality and influencing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good example, another good example of how, we do not look at the big picture. We never look at the big picture. We do not look at the holistic picture. Any production of any product is focused on that product, what that product does, how much it will sell for, how many it'll sell, etc., etc. No concern is given to, what is the overall effect in terms of, what this is doing for mankind, not just for Mr. Customer in Argos or Marks and Spencers or wherever it is. You see, I mean, there's a great saying that I'm sure you know or you've heard, and that is that if someone invents something or someone wants to do something, the question that is often asked is, what if everyone did that? What if everyone did that? It's a way of measuring, in a sense, whether something is good or bad for
that's interesting,
mankind. But what if everyone
that measure is often used, and it's a very important measure, and one that bothers me considerably.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think it's one of the most important ethical questions that we have to ask. It affects everything. For instance, our diet.
Yes.
Can everyone in the world eat the Western meat-centered diet?
Yes.
No, I'm not even sure they can eat the fish-centered diet that
Yes.
we like to enjoy. Can everyone in the world, if we're going to solve our carbon problems with nuclear fuel, can everyone do that? And if we do, actually, how long will that last? Can everyone enjoy the opulence and the use of the world's resources and the production of waste that we enjoy? And therefore, if the answer is no to any of these questions, then you've got to say, hold on.
Yeah.
You cannot go down that route. You cannot think that is a solution. You might say, we're doing that and we're stuck to it. But whatever you do, don't think that that is a solution. Because if it can't be extrapolated to everyone, it's not a solution. It's only a recipe for disaster and war at some point.
Yes, yes.
Because if you can't give it to everyone, you end up with haves and have-nots.
Yeah.
And that is the recipe for war.
Now, suppose, going back to what we were saying earlier, right? I mean, you've given me a thought now. Supposing in the scientific world, instead of the scientists having to prove that something works based on criteria, tests, and so and so, so and so, but they actually have to prove that everyone on the planet could benefit from it. Think of that. Okay, how would you prove it?
Well, I mean, at least you could.
But what a great way to bring science and almost to bring science and spirituality together, if you like.
Well, that's right. I mean, if you're going to have a scientific process that analyzes benefits, it's got to be, is this good for everyone? There's no other question.